Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Holiday Trends, Mastering Marketing During the Peak Shopping Season. I'm Adam Blair, Executive Editor of Retail Touchpoints, and I'll be moderating today's presentation, which is the second in a series of webinars sponsored by Salesforce. According to the Salesforce State of Marketing Report, 70% of marketing leaders say their companies are increasingly competing on the basis of customer experience. Customers are craving experiences that are both personalized and relevant to them. By understanding the shopper, optimizing marketing channels, and embracing artificial intelligence, retailers are able to put the shopper at the center of each and every marketing message they send this holiday season. In this presentation, we're using the On24 platform. Right now, you should be viewing the On24 dashboard, which shows the live viewing screen. By clicking on the Questions widget on the right-hand side of the screen, you can type in questions during the live presentation and press Submit. You can also find a widget named Resources under Questions. Here you can download assets our presenters have provided. All you have to do is click on the resource and it will automatically download. On this slide, you'll also find the Twitter handles for Retail Touchpoints and the session speakers, as well as for the entire Holiday Insights series. For you who may be new to Retail Touchpoints, here's a quick overview. We're an all-digital media company publishing 3 weekly email online newsletters, daily news, special reports, and multimedia presentations. We also host the annual Retail Innovation Conference in New York City, which will take place May 6th through the 8th, 2019. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to our weekly newsletter. We welcome input and feedback through traditional means, phone and email, as well as social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Our website is www.retailtouchpoints.com. I want to remind the audience that the presentation is slated for approximately 30 minutes with time for live questions at the end. We invite our audience to submit questions in the On24 questions area as they come to mind. The presenters have agreed to stay online following the presentation to respond to your questions. I also want to point out just a few other housekeeping items. The webinar is being recorded, and all attendees will receive an archive link to the presentation to go back and review or share with colleagues. In addition, the slides will be posted to SlideShare. Now I'm very happy to introduce our speakers. Megan Collins is the Product Marketing Manager at Salesforce for Retail and Consumer Goods with Marketing Cloud. She's been at Salesforce for a little over 4 years, where she launched Email Studio and Content Builder in 2015 and worked heavily in the mobile messaging space. J.R. Lynn is the Senior Manager of Retail Industry Solutions, Salesforce's go-to-market team. J.R. empowers retailers to create world-class shopping experiences and reach their digital transformation goals in an ever-changing industry. Customers include Shinola, Room and Board, and One Kings Lane have trusted J.R. to help them blaze their trails to customer success. Now I'll hand it over to Megan.
All right, thanks for kicking us off. And like you said, we're really talking about holiday trends here. So my name is Megan. We're coming to you live from Indianapolis, Indiana. And we're going to kick things off by talking about why this shopping season is crucial to retailers. So retailers across the board are going to be putting all eyes on this holiday season because of a few reasons, and the proof is right here. They're going to be seeing 18% year-over-year growth during these holiday seasons, 30% increased site visits, and the big whopper here, 33% of the entire season's revenue is generated on Cyber Week alone. So as you can imagine, it's definitely a crucial piece of the entire year. So marketers out there are continuing to put their A game on for this season. So today we'll cover a couple key areas. We'll give you a breakdown of today's shopper, what you can expect, and wrap up with holiday best practices, so tips and tricks there for you guys, and then let you know what's happening next. How can you get involved and learn more to stay on top and really bring your A game this holiday season?
Great. So I'm going to introduce what today's shopper is. So let's dive in and understand who they are, their actions, their voices, and eyes, so that we can target them with more relevant content. Now, we conducted a study with Publicis.Sapient to create a report we call Shopper First Retailing. we looked at 500 million shoppers, 200 million service cases. We surveyed, so we heard directly from shoppers of 6,000 consumers across the globe, and mystery shopped into 70 stores in 3 geos. And this information is really at the root of a lot of our findings moving forward and how we're talking to customers, talking about customers, and really helping retailers make sure that they're nailing their holiday season and beyond. So this study and report really bubbles up into 3 mandates. These mandates are great places to consider as you're putting your final touches on your holiday program. And this is, again, what consumers and shoppers are telling us. So the first mandate is to make it fresh. 69% of shoppers expect to see new merchandise in the store when they're visiting your brick and mortar or even your online. Now that can be challenging, but making sure that there's a fresh approach to your content. Obviously, many stores have seasonal merchandise at the forefront of their displays. Many flagship stores only show their best and brightest on their first floor. So think about how you can make it fresh every time someone visits. Number 2 is be where I am. And this is ensuring that your message is consistent and cohesive across every channel to make sure your shopper feels like they can engage and shop with you from wherever they are. 87% of shoppers begin their hunt on digital channels, and this is up from 71% last year. So making sure that your message is coming across on all of those digital channels as well as it does in the store or in the catalog is crucial. And last is give it meaning. 64% of shoppers agree or strongly agree that retailers don't truly know them. And this is kind of crazy considering how much data you actually know about your shoppers. And the majority of them have told us that they'll actually give you more data for faster, smarter interaction. And by giving it meaning, you are acknowledging that you know them, you know what they've bought, and you can use it to provide a highly cultivated cross-channel experience. Now, we've got this report available. We'll give you the link so you can download it and click further into these mandates. But I'm going to share some of the other key findings that are my favorite. A key area that you'll see grow time after time is mobile. Last year's holiday season, we saw mobile purchases surpass desktop for the first time ever. And we predict that margin is only going to continue to grow. So when we think about how shoppers are engaging in mobile, other than just purchasing, what we found is that 83% of shoppers are using mobile in store. They've got their phone in their hand, much like I'm sure a lot of you do, even while you're listening to this webinar, but they're doing things like comparing prices, researching, and taking a photo of their favorite items and sharing it with their network. So when you think about a mobile strategy for your in-store experience, think about engagement points leveraging these areas. How do you ensure their research is what you want them to find? They're seeing the product details that you want them to see. If they're sharing a photo on social media or to friends, how can they use that as a currency? There's some really cool technology out there and some brands that are trying these things around social media as a currency. If you tweet, you can get a free sample of that product, for example. So in the 2018 holiday season, retailers can expect to see this channel grow continuously from traffic share and order share. So if you don't have mobile optimized email or website, better start thinking about it because that's where your shoppers are going to be. And lastly, recommendations create more engaged shoppers. Now, I talked about the data that you know about your shoppers and the data that they want you to use, but the proof's in the pudding here. If you are delivering personalized recommendations based on their order history, their browse history, or the information that they told you, you're going to see huge gains in your heart rate, more product views per visit, and higher spend per visit. So making sure that anything that you're doing to make sure that they know everything they have is tailored for them, or everything you have, is tailored for them, they're going to keep clicking, they're going to keep discovering your brand and finding more things that they want. So the lesson here is that artificial intelligence is crucial to that holiday season growth. Using the data you have, provide those great recommendations. So now I'm going to turn it back over to Megan we'll cover the next topic.
Thank you, JR. So now let's get into some tactical holiday best practices. Okay, so before you get started, you've probably thought about personas. But what is the perfect persona for your individual shoppers? So I've taken the liberty of looking at a couple of key areas that a lot of common retailers see as their perfect persona. So the coupon clicker, I like to think of this one as the person who will click on your email if there's a coupon in there, for example. So what you can do around this persona is A/B test different offers. So what we like to do is try percentage off versus a dollar sign off. Even a little small change like this, you'll start to see a difference based on the different persona and the different shopper. Then my personal favorite, in which I think I'm in, is the flash sale queen. So if there's anything that's a certain time that you have a sale, this would be considered a flash sale. So what you want to do is deliver maybe something like a push notification. This will really bring in that app engagement, bring them back to your brand, really drive those re-engagement tactics. Then thinking about the cart abandoner. So this is where automation is a key piece of your marketing program. So think of ways that you can trigger and automate messages when someone has maybe looked and browsed at your website, put a couple things in their cart, but maybe they left to go see something a little more exciting and they forgot that their item was still in your cart. So sending them fun, simple reminders. But one thing I think is interesting when you're thinking of your digital strategy versus your in-store strategy, you have to be thinking of, if you are a real store and someone leaves your store and doesn't buy anything, you're not going to run after them and say, hey, you abandoned your cart. It's more fun and realistic types of messaging that you need to be creating to let them know that they've abandoned their cart, but don't use the terms you've abandoned your cart. Speak to them in the voice that you would in person or in real life in your store. Next up, the early riser. So this is just giving a nod to the different times that people like to open their emails or look at advertisements or mobile messages or push notifications. Everyone has a different time of day that they like to look at these. So early riser, for instance, maybe she checks her messages every morning on her way to work. You can start to find segments of these different individuals that are looking at the night versus morning versus maybe afternoon. You can start to segment and send more time optimized emails, for example. And then lastly, the dreamer. I like this one. So there's actually different tests that you can do for different content that you're sharing. So you can test product images versus maybe the lifestyle imagery. This is where you can be if you bought my product, but not have a specific item or product in the actual image. So I think those are kind of interesting to test out as well as you're starting to understand your shopper, because you really can't do anything until you understand who your personas are. So now let's look at the complete marketing programs across all channels. So we want you to master not just email, but the whole scope here. So we're going to cover email, we're going to cover mobile, social, advertising, and your website. So let's start with the cash cow here. Your biggest ROI channel is going to be email. You've seen this time and time again. It's probably where you first started on your journey of optimizing and adding more channels to your portfolio. But a couple of key tactical things you can start with is really all around relevancy. We talked about that earlier in today's shopper when JR talked about relevancy is going to bring people back to your cart, back to your store, and really drive that conversion. So anything you can do to be more relevant and prioritize personalization is crucial. So think of things like adding dynamic content or maybe a couple product recommendations to your email that really resonate. Then start to look and define the feel of your email. So are they mobile optimized? Is there easy navigation to shop and get into your cart? Are there transactional messages that are being opened that are reflecting your brand? One thing to note is that this is going to be the heaviest year for your transactional emails, so you've probably been working for a couple months on building that transactional deliverability to ensure you're getting those out in a quick manner. But one thing you still have time to do is ensure that they are on brand and they're reflecting your brand in the best way possible. Since this is the most visual, or the biggest email that's going to have the most attention throughout the holiday season, make sure you make it great. Then think about how you can automate at scale. So I mentioned a couple of these scenarios in the persona, but browsing, abandoning a cart, if there is an item that's back in stock that you looked at previously, or maybe a post-purchase journey, and let them know how they can use that product, educate them, give them thought leadership of how to leverage it. Things like that you can automate at scale. And then lastly, put yourself in their shoes. So evaluate that experience. Are the landing pages working? Is it a frictionless purchasing process for them to go to their website? Is it clear? Things like that. And I would recommend looking at this multiple times a day. It doesn't hurt to check this early and often as you're heading into the holiday season. And here's just a quick example here. I just got this the other day from Bath & Body Works. I'm a big shopper there. I love my candles, and I especially love my wallflowers. I continue to get those. So they're already showing me a good headline here all around the holiday season and how I need to get ready. And this is just last week. So they're continuing to already start to put this brand out there. And as I scroll down, I have a nice coupon here, but I also had a personalized gift. And so this was actually a wallflower gift that showed me all the different scents that I could be purchasing. And I'm assuming that's because I've recently made some significant purchases in the wallflower department there. But one thing also to note there are 3 buttons in these screenshots alone from this single email that say shop. So it's clear, it's concise, it gets me into the cart, it gets me buying more wallflowers. All right, so now let's talk about mobile. So earlier we heard that 82% of smartphone users are turning to their devices while in store, helping them make their product decisions, giving them research opportunities. So what I want and encourage all of you to do is take advantage of these engagements. So if you already have an SMS program in place, you still have time to make these even more engaging by moving beyond a simple outbound coupon message and really driving that two-way conversation. So here's a great example here of, I'm sending out a basic coupon alert, getting 25% off, but how can I drive that two-way conversation? So, nothing really here told me exactly how I got that, how I can get this offer. So as a normal shopper, a good question I may have is, is there a coupon code? And so normally if I text back to a short code, I might just get no response or an error because it's not recognizing me. But this example from Northern Trail Outfitters, for example, can respond out and say, NTO Help will be glad to assist you. Let's get you into our agent here. So the agent comes back. It understands that this phone number is attached to Rachel. Hey, Rachel, this is Noelle. I'm a service agent with NTO. No code is needed. You want to purchase anything? Let's get you anything else we can help you with. So, I really want to just make sure that I can get this red sweater. Do you have any more? Well, of course we do. We have one at your local store in the Edinburgh location. And just like that, you've moved from a simple outbound message to a conversation. So just kind of connecting your service and your marketing, you're really going to drive that engagement. Next, think about, how can you gather feedback? So maybe you have a service SMS alert that goes out or a shipping notice. Why not send a follow-up message asking about the store experience or the service case experience? And you probably already have a survey link available that you use in your emails or on your website or even your transactional emails. Why not put this in an SMS? Because You're probably more likely to do it from your mobile device, where you're going to open your text message usually within 3 minutes. So it's definitely a channel that you're going to see high traffic on. And then lastly, just want to touch on push notifications. So if you do have a mobile app and you haven't leveraged push notifications before, I would definitely consider looking into that. If you have a technical marketer on your team or even a contractor for a couple weeks, you can get a developer in there to implement an SDK to get you up and running on push notifications fairly quickly. And what these will do, these can be combined with an email, for example. It's going to increase your conversion rate by 2-fold. You can use it for special offers, local events, shipping deadlines, and really encourage that shopper to take action and bring them back into their app, again, for that re-engagement type of interaction. All right, next up, let's talk about social. So out of all the channels we talked about today, I think JR would agree with me that social is probably the easiest to take advantage of. If you haven't already started with a social program, I think it's time to listen up here. Social is a great place to really listen to your shoppers, and it's easy to get it up and running. This is where most, I'd say, of your shoppers are spending their time and interacting with brands every day. But what I think would be helpful, especially in the holiday season, is ensuring that you're set up for using this as a service channel. So I recommend having this staffed around the clock, really being ready at any moment's notice to streamline anything that may arise. And lastly, have fun with it. We've seen brands really get creative, and I think it's really setting high expectations for this holiday season. We've seen some fun ones around gifts of unboxing new shipments, or maybe showing what's the latest and greatest of your store decorations. JR talked about earlier how you're continuing to add in new shipments, making your store fresh. This is a good way to promote this and let the world know that you're ready and you are well-staffed. So example of that, if you haven't seen the example from last year, I thought REI did a really good job. They had a hashtag opt-outside program with their social media, and they actually closed down all of their stores on Black Friday, which probably was a little scary to people. Everyone might have had a little minor heart attack here for a second, but it actually did them a lot of good. It was a great social campaign. They ended up having 1.4 million people get outside and spend their Black Friday outdoors with friends and family, but it was also great for their business. They had 9.3% increase in revenue, 7.8 billion media impressions, 1.2 billion social impressions, and what I think we all like to hear is 23% uptick in digital sales. So hats off to you, REI. I love it, and I hope to see more cool things like that in the future. And then just showing you a little bit of what's on the screen here. Here's an example of using this as a service. So Rachel Morris, for example, maybe she's on Christmas Day opening her new camping gear and she found out she had a hole in it. So that's a bummer. No one wants a shopping experience like that. So they actually tagged in Northern Trail Outfitters. Even if they just had an image of the tent, we would still be able to indicate this with some Einstein vision for social. But what we can do is Northern Trail Outfitters can understand that Rachel is talking about their brand, and they can respond in real time saying, we'll ship you a brand new one, we'll DM you with the details. And just like that, we can send this off to a service agent and follow up in real time. And that's why I mentioned staffing this around the clock is crucial, especially if you're a global brand. All right, so now talk about advertising. Another channel that, you can be nimble on. You can move in different directions. It has some flexibility. But with advertising, highly targeted ads are going to bring the right customers to your product pages. It's going to help you increase your subscribers to your email programs, to your loyalty programs. And what it does is it can help you echo your messages that you already have on maybe email or mobile, and it's going to drive those opt-ins. And so take advantage of a lot of the information you have about your anonymous users out there. So we could know, you're maybe a female. We can infer that you shop on women's health. you're a laptop user. There's a lot of things we can find and understand about these users without even knowing their name. But then we can start to send these highly targeted ads to these, again, personas, which are, as I mentioned earlier, are crucial when you're starting to understand and strategize your marketing program. Also be sure that your CRM system is tracking individual clicks on an individual level. So you can use all these advertising analytics to craft that one-to-one journey for customers and starting in 2019 after you've gathered all this information. Because this is going to be the highest traffic time of year, you're going to get a lot of data here. You're going to learn more about your customers. So why not use that information to help you kickstart next year? And as for last-minute messaging, I think, if your email or product page isn't performing, why don't you just follow up with a message or a social ad? We call this a stereo effect because it's the same message. It's just coming out through multiple different speakers. So just a few things to think about for your advertising. Now, lastly, let's talk about your website. So at this point in the game, I'm assuming you probably have a well-fleshed-out e-commerce site. But just a couple of reminders. We talked about this earlier, but artificial intelligence is crucial, and recommendations is something that's is fairly simple, but you need to be thinking about this as a holistic strategy for your website. So you can see here, Northern Trail Outfitters has some great suggestions on jackets that are great product offerings for me. I also think it's important to be helpful. So as helpful as you can make your website, the better. So give them a community to learn more and maybe meet other people like themselves or understand thought leadership around the beauty product or whatever your item may be. Health tips around the food that you may be purchasing. It's always helpful to be helpful with your brand and for your shoppers to make sure they have a great experience. All right, so let's break down a couple of retailers that I think are fabulous, and they're retailers that experience success with the holidays. And, we are talking all around holidays. Let's give you some examples here. And you may notice that these two brands are similar. We have Hickory Farms and Harry and David. And, yes, they are very similar, but they are all faced with similar challenges that I think a lot of people on this webinar probably have. And what's interesting about them is that they're businesses that are relying heavily on that online engagement and conversion. So let's start with Hickory Farms. So if you don't know who they are, they're gift baskets and gourmet food retailer, really focused on growing their online sales. And so in the past, they've always relied on automation and efficiency during the holiday season, especially since it's such a high market for them compared to the rest of the year. So they're nimble and they move quick, and so they needed to respond to competitors in really real time with their email campaigns. So they did just that. They spun up different emails in just a single day to compete with maybe what other providers did. And so I thought that was super smart. They personalized their emails. They coordinated with their advertisements, their SMS messages that were sent to customers, and they gave everyone a unique experience. And so what I mean by this is they actually triggered an email if they, weren't engaging on the email too much. They would trigger an email with maybe a sweeter deal, a better discount, a different type of ad, a different type of content in the email. And if that didn't work, they followed up with an advertisement. And if they were enrolled in their SMS program, they followed up with an SMS. So, there's different tiers that it kind of triggers down, starting with the email and moving beyond based on their engagements with their brand. So it's all around that behavior of the shopper. And so the time and the money that they're actually saving on automating all of these using triggers and some logistics and logic for these different paths to take shoppers down, they can now invest in something fun like a countdown clicker. So we have vendors that we work with like Live Clicker to really make emails more engaging and more fun. So hats off to you, Hickory Farms. They saw a 45% increase in site visits from email during the holiday season. So it's definitely proven to be a great channel if you can keep relevant and keep up with your competition. Next up, Harry and David. So again, similar, they're in the gourmet gift basket, but they're more focused on fresh fruit and things like that. And they're a lean team. They need to, again, be nimble and keep up with the fast pace of e-commerce. So if you're in the e-commerce space, you know how quick this is and how often things can change. So I think the word nimble and quick are two key words that people need to be focused on, especially in the holiday season here. But it's changing demand, changing marketplace. And so what they did is they rebuilt their taxonomy, their navigation, their site search, their checkout flow. They really got in the shoes of their customers and really looked at what their shoppers are doing, how they're engaging. And so with this, they added predictive intelligence. And the goal here is to improve that customer journey, make it easier, make sure they're having higher conversion rates. And so out of all of their conversion optimization efforts, it's really been around one thing. It's creating and inspiring that shopper. And so a common practice in e-commerce is around checkout specials. And so in the past, or a lot of people today think that, let's just throw some coupons out there. Let's give them some discounts at the checkout, and we'll drive some conversions. And that's great. I mean, it's worked a lot of times. But Harry and David took it a step further, and they decided to, instead of doing specials, they just decided to think about relevancy. So the trouble with this is that, it might be hard to understand that consumer. So, they may only come to your store a couple times a year, but how can we increase that shopper's cart? So JR did a great job of talking about all of the stats around, 5 times increase in purchases made in your shopping cart if there's relevance. And here is a great case study around it. And so they're seeing that instead of doing just discounts at the checkout, let's give you a relevant content, maybe based on what you've purchased in the past, based on what you've browsed, based on what other people have purchased, and let's give them relevant content. And just like that, they've quadrupled their sales within this area without even having to discount their items. And they saw an 88% lift in ROI from these Black Friday product recommendations. So awesome job to these trailblazers, Hickory Farms and Harry and David. So we talked about today's shopper, a little bit more about what to expect this holiday season. We gave you some tactical holiday best practices of what you can still do today. And then JR is going to bring us home and help us understand, what's next for you as a marketer.
Thanks, Megan. So we've got some amazing content ready for you to consume on top of this webinar. We've got a holiday readiness guide, personalization and shopping, and deliverability readiness to ensure that you're hitting that inbox and getting the views and conversions you can get from your email. So all of these links will be provided. And then additionally, if you are not connected to the Trailblazer community, definitely sign up. This is a great forum for you to converse with other Trailblazers around best practices and things that you guys are doing to transform your marketing. Next is tips and tricks, and this is a great resource put together by our CSG team, so our customer success that are really tasked with making sure you're successful. They put some best practices and insights together based on their experience working with brands across the globe. And lastly, the Tech Lounge. So this is just a great resource for you to visit, get some more hands-on tactical understanding of how things work. So thank you much for joining us today. Megan and I are going to stay on the line for you to ask any questions that you guys have.
Well, thank you, JR, and thanks, Megan. Great presentations and lots of useful information. We did get a few questions from the audience, which I'll relay here. The first is, what are some average open rates that you've seen during the holiday season?
Yeah, so what's interesting is the average, or I'd say business as usual average in an open rate is probably around 14%. But the biggest day that you'll see open rates is going to be around Christmas. That's what we're predicting. We expect that to be a whole percent increase, around 15% on Christmas Day. And then just some other kind of rates that I think might be interesting to you as well The business as usual average is around 5% in conversion rate. I think conversion rate is something that retailers, we think about a lot. But on Cyber Monday, the conversion rate is going to be closer to 9% is what we expect. So Cyber Monday, bring your A game the whole season, but Cyber Monday is really where your conversion rates are going to be. So again, make sure it's clear and concise. Make sure the shop button and wherever you want to direct them to is clear, concise, and gets them into your cart.
So it sounds like there's a really strong intent to buy on Cyber Monday beyond it being a very busy traffic day. That's a good thing for marketers to remember. We did have another sort of general question. What has been the biggest challenge that you've seen for marketers this year, I guess, for 2018 or leading into the 2018 holiday season?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. And, JR and I talked to a lot of retailers. We talked to a lot of folks at Dreamforce 2 weeks ago. We're just coming back, this big conference in San Francisco that Salesforce puts on. But a big thing is keeping up with innovation. I think what we've heard a lot in keynotes and we've heard a lot from these retailers is, it's hard to keep up. And a lot of people are competing against each other that never thought that they would be competitors. And you're not competing on, products. You're not, you don't have similar products that you're competing on. You're competing on the customer experience. So I think that's something that's changed and that will continue to change time and time again, is focusing on the customer. People are setting some pretty high expectations. I mean, like I said, REI closed their doors on Black Friday. So there's some folks out there are real game changers. Yeah,
and I would say that a lot of conversations I've had, there's a fine line between understanding what's next best action for that customer. What's next best for the company might not be next best for the customer, and really understanding how to use the data that you have, where they are in their customer life cycles, and to make sure you're delivering that right message at the right time. And so I think there's a lot of retailers grappling with that from a marketing perspective.
Yeah, and kind of on top of that too, I would take advantage of all of the findings and data that you're getting from your holiday season so that you can take that back to your stakeholders and say, I proved that email had this much traffic, advertising had this much traffic. So hopefully you can bring your stakeholders in and your other partners and maybe other parts of your business to really understand how important digital marketing is. So it's a good time to leverage both.
Okay, great.
Good question.
Well, unfortunately, I think we're about out of time for today. I would both Megan and JR for great presentations. If anyone who typed in a question did not receive an answer, the speakers will be able to follow up after the presentation is over. I would also like to invite the attendees again to join us live for the 2019 Retail Innovation Conference, which is going to be held May 6th through the 9th in New York City. You can find details at www.retailinnovationconference.com. So thanks again to our panelists and to our sponsor Salesforce and to all of our attendees. Please enjoy the rest of your day.